We've got the all-new Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid.
The great Gazoo. All right.
Okay, we're in hybrid mode. Pretty good combined power.
Yeah, this is the most powerful RAV4 you can get. So let's get into what's powering the PHEV.
A 2.5-liter four-cylinder. It's matched to an eCVT. It has a combined 324 horsepower. It uses a sixth-generation plug-in hybrid system and has a 22.7 kilowatt-hour battery with up to 89 kilometers, 55 miles of range.
So if you get this GR Sport or the Woodland kind of off-roady looking one, it offers less range. Standard all-wheel drive for the plug-in hybrid. And one annoying thing for Canadians is that Toyota Canada is not offering that Woodland model in the plug-in right now. They say if there's enough demand, they might look at it.
Yeah, they did say that.
Okay, this is the GR, which stands for Gazoo Racing, the great Gazoo. So let's get into the PHEV key standard features.
The base trim comes with a 12.3-inch digital driver display, a 10.5-inch touchscreen, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 6-speaker audio system, cloth upholstery, heated front seats, 8-way power driver's seat, 6-way manual passenger seat, 2-way power adjustable driver lumbar support, a heated steering wheel, a moonroof, a power liftgate, and Toyota Safety System 4.0. In the US, not all of these features are standard.
Boy, we waited a long time for this one, didn't we?
We did.
Everybody else seems to have driven this but us. But anyway, it's finally here, so we're happy to get it. And it's interesting, of course, this is the one they sent out because it's the one they're using. It's kind of their halo look, you know, the bright red with the sporty look to it. And they say this is sportier. Do you think that this GR Sport model is it like the most flavorful vanilla?
Well, it has a sport tuned suspension, and it's Toyota's take on a sporty RAV4. I do find this suspension to be a little bit firmer than in other plug-in hybrid models, but it's not an enthusiast SUV. You have to go elsewhere to get that. But it is your sportiest RAV4.
Okay, so what they did to this, it's mostly suspension, wheels, and tires is what they've changed to affect the ride. So you get a larger 20-inch wheel, slightly wider tire, bigger, wider track, and they also changed the suspension and the damping rate so that it's supposed to keep it more level in the corners. The brakes are red, Andrea.
Yeah.
But that's what you get. You get red brakes. They don't increase any braking force.
When you go over those bumps, you're definitely going to feel them, but I don't mind it. I kind of like that feel when I'm driving a vehicle. If you want something smoother, hey, there are other ones available, the XSE and the SE.
Also, the larger tire is going to create more road noise, so that's something you have to deal with. So there's lots to choose from. Unfortunately, that Woodland isn't available, and we drove the Woodland RAV, the regular hybrid one, and we really enjoyed that ride on that one. Gave it a little more, maybe slightly more cushioned with the bigger tire, so something to consider.
Well, Toyota definitely worked on noise, vibration, and harshness. It is quieter. I like the fact that you can drive it in pure EV mode on the highway up to 140 kilometers per hour. That's 87 miles per hour. And it also has a water cooling thermal battery management system.
Although I love when you talk dirty like that. Say that again. Oh, I want to listen.
So it has a water cooling type thermal management system.
Oh, yeah, love it.
That warms the battery, so it provides better range. You've got to admit, the range on this plug-in hybrid is fantastic. I could drive this every day in pure EV mode, rarely needing gas, and have a clean drive every day.
So a couple of things here. One we're going to hit on more in our Questions, Coffee, and Cars is the base model pricing for this is excellent. But unlike Mitsubishi, which offers high-speed charging, DC fast charging on their Outlander plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, you don't get that on the vast majority of RAV4s. Which one gets it?
Just the top trim.
That seems like a bit of a puzzle, but I guess Toyota knows that their buyers of these are plugging it at home 90-something% of the time.
I still think it should be offered. It shouldn't just be offered on the top trim. You know, more and more manufacturers are now offering DC fast charging. You know, why not offer it on every trim just for convenience? I have to say the steering feels really good. It feels a little bit heavier, exactly the way I like it. So I think that this GR Sport model, does up the sportiness a bit.
So they did dial in that. So with electric power steering, you can dial in the firmness, and they've obviously done that for this model. Okay, Andrea, we have it in the hybrid mode, which is the most powerful.
I think we should put it in EV just so that you can see the difference, because off the top we did it in hybrid.
Okay, a little not as exciting at highway speeds. Before we do that, we're trying to hit 500,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think right now on target to not hit it, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately.
So if you could help and subscribe, so what do you need to do?
Well, you got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
Yeah, the tires are noisier on this model for sure. Okay, in EV mode only, foot to the floor.
Here we go.
Not snappy.
Definitely not snappy, but if it's really important to you that even on the highway you just want to drive it in EV mode, it's fine for passing. You're going to be able to do it. It's not a big deal.
You can put it in hybrid, and then it wakes up the gas engine, and then you get the 324 horsepower.
Driving this in the city is a breeze. It's kind of the right size. Parallel parking's easy, maneuverability, turning radius, excellent.
So on the outside of this GR, you totally get a different look. You get more aggressive, assertive looking front grille and bumper. Same for the rear. You get a spoiler at the top of the window at the back. Bigger wheels, we talked about those already. So riddle me this, Andrea, if you were getting a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle from Toyota and the RAV4 family, would you choose the GR?
You know what, I don't think I would. I think I would just pay a little bit extra in Canada and get the XSE with the tech package, because I get all of the features that we're going to take you through when we get to the interior part that this is missing. I like the look. I just don't think I'm going to pay that price and not get as much as I want.
And miss the features. Andrea likes her features.
She likes my features.
She likes the looks. She likes the luxury.
And a good example of that is in Canada, we do get the moonroof on the GR Sport, but in the US, there's no moonroof or panel roof for you. The RAV4 plug-in hybrid has 8.1 inches of ground clearance. The GR Sport a little less at 7.5 inches. Standard features include LED headlamps, LED rear combination lamps, roof rails, 18-inch black wheels, available 20-inch wheels, and a temporary spare tire. While the GR Sport model is your sportiest RAV4, the XSE and SE models do have a sporty design as well.
So quick thing about the seating position, we're going to talk about the passenger seat coming up in Questions, Coffee and Cars. And now, we drove the RAV4 hybrid not too long ago, and now getting back in this, I find the seating position for the driver, I would like the seat to go a little bit lower. Okay. And it's not because there's a lack of headroom, I just want to sit a little bit lower. So taller drivers, pay attention to that when you get in it. Okay, so we're in the sportiest model. From here looking forward, Andrea, I don't see any difference other than GR on the steering wheel.
You've got the GR, you've got the sport pedals, but I really like the seats. I like the faux suede and I like the red accents. I'm a big fan of this, and I gotta say, the seats are super comfortable.
So, but other than really the Alcantara style seats, there's really no difference. And that's one of the problems we have with RAV4 generally, is they don't break up the interiors with a mixture of textures and colors like other brands do. And the funny thing is, we had the CHR from Toyota just last week, their electric small vehicle, and we found that interior was much more pleasing because it did have a mixture of textures and colors.
Although I have to say that the faux suede in this is nicer than the CHR, but there is a price difference, so you have to always keep that in mind. This is really a practical, functional interior design. They've done that. It's a fairly clean design. There's a mix of soft materials and hard plastic, more hard plastic than I would really like. Storage is good. Look, this opens up both ways, but it also flips into a tray.
That's where you put your French fries. That's where you put your large fries right there.
You have a picnic in here, you know? It's quite nice. Everything's at your fingertips. More functions are done in the screen now compared to the previous model, but there is a volume knob. There is climate control up and down. Defroster has buttons. You also have your drive modes. You've got your EV hybrid modes, trail, sport, normal. You still have some buttons here. And then the tabs for temperature, heated seats, heated steering wheel sit at the bottom of the screen.
So traditionally, RAV4 has pulled from the truck division for interior inspiration. And you can see that with this. You see the big chunky drive modes, and Andrea just pointed them out. That's kind of like a throw over to what you would get in a Tacoma, for example. I do like the traditional style shifter for the GR model instead of the little paddle thing. I don't know, it's a small thing. I like it. Some people don't like it, but there you go. So yeah, I think that the grade of material in this is slightly improved, mostly around the seats for the GR.
As for pricing, in the US, this is the top trim. In Canada, it's just one below the top trim. The XSE Tech is the top trim, but you're missing features. So you have to really want this GR Sport model, and you really love the look of them. Things that are missing: ventilated front seats, driver's seat memory. There's no panoramic sunroof offering. I already mentioned that. But those might be things that people are really looking for, especially if you live in a hot climate. Driver's seat memory is convenient, especially if you're sharing it with somebody else.
Hey, let's get into the available features. And they include a head-up display, panoramic view monitor, digital display rear view mirror, wireless charger, 9-speaker JBL sound system, an 8-way power passenger seat, driver's seat memory, ventilated front seats, a panoramic sunroof, and power tailgate with kick sensor. And
here's another thing this is missing: the JBL sound system, which I really like. I'm finding that basic sound system to be a little bit tinny.
So this latest RAV4, whether you get the hybrid or this plug-in, it's the same wheelbase as the previous model. So backseat legroom and headroom is roughly the same. How does it stack up?
The RAV4 plug-in hybrid offers 41 inches of front row legroom and 37.8 inches of second row legroom.
So this model has the power liftgate, a very nice feature, not often found with a PHEV. Under the floor is a real temporary spare tire.
Cargo space behind the second row is 33.6 cubic feet, and overall cargo space 63.5 cubic feet.
I'm sure you're dying to know what's up with that seat over there, Andrea and Zach. Let's get into it.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Looks great. Is the front passenger seat in the GR model manual or power adjustable? This is manual, but it does have a height adjustment, so it's a 6-way manual, which I do like. Happy to have the ratchet system.
And it's on all RAVs. Even the base model regular hybrid gets that, which is great. If you want to get a question in for any future video, you need to follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea. You also get the numerous stories. And for me, it's Motormouth_auto, and the links are in the description.
Wow, big thing I noticed was the jump in price from the base to the next model. Yeah, you're not wrong there. In Canada, in the US, not much of a jump. It's pretty steady all the way up to the GR Sport, but we know why.
Yeah, so in Canada, different than the United States, we have a federal rebate on electrified vehicles, and they have to start under $50,000. So if you get a full EV, it's $5,000 this year, and if you get a plug-in, it's $2,500. So this base model qualifies for, so they basically wholesaled that base model to get it under the 50,000, and then they knew they weren't going to do that with the others, so they priced them accordingly.
Yeah, and that's MSRP under 50,000 Canadian.
And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
Is the cost of the hybrid batteries a detriment to long-term hybrid vehicle ownership? If it is, leasing would be a best alternative?
The Prius, which has been on the road for many years, used in taxi fleets, some of those taxis have like 1 million miles on them with the original battery. If I was going to buy this, I wouldn't think that the battery would be at my list of things that are probably going to go wrong in the long term. I really wouldn't worry about it.
I feel the same way. First off, the hybrid has a battery that is below 2 kilowatt hour. This has a 22.7 kilowatt hour. Toyota does a really good job of managing the longevity of batteries in their vehicle. And even if at some point you did need to replace either, it would be less than a pure EV with an 80 kilowatt hour battery plus, right?
Yeah.
They get bigger than that.
Yeah, the other thing is it's on the inside of the car. Okay, it's not underneath like the other batteries. Okay, let's get into the vital stats. The fuel economy is ultra important in this and more.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then we'll move on to the US. Pricing in Canada includes freight, PDI, and fees. The base SE model starts at just over $51,500 and the top XSE technology is just under $62,500. In the US, we're using MSRP. The base model starts at $41,500 and the GR Sport $48,500.
Depending on the trim and the size of the tires, fuel economy does vary. The SE base model has the best fuel economy. That's 2.4 liters equivalent per 100 kilometers or 98 miles per gallon equivalent. When the battery is depleted, this RAV4 PHEV gets 5.2 liters per 100 kilometers city, 6.3 on the highway. That's 45 miles per gallon city, 37 on the highway. The PHEV comes standard with a 7 kilowatt onboard charger, an available 11 kilowatt onboard charger. As mentioned, the RAV4 has DC fast charging, but only available on the top trim. It'll charge from 10 to 80% in approximately 35 minutes. On a level 2 charger, from 10 to 100% in 3 hours. This does not come with the North American standard charging port. It is a J1772 charger. The RAV4 PHEV can tow 3,500 pounds. However, this GR Sport model is not rated for towing as they focused on performance. The warranty from Toyota is 3 years, 60,000 kilometers, or 36,000 miles. Lightning round, two things we like to see improved.
I'm so impressed with the range on this RAV4 plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, I like the fact that they dropped the price of that base model to help you get the rebate.
I would like to see Toyota add DC fast charging to all models. And I'd love to see the Woodland come together.
That's two. He says two. You're doing an extra. All right, Andrea gets mine. I give her mine. So there it is. It's the RAV4 plug-in hybrid. What do you guys think of that?
Thanks for watching. And if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe. We'll see you next time.